Hey everybody, welcome to Polka Dots Hare Scramble, District 14, and it's time to go racing. I believe that is the voice of Mr. David Whip on the right side of me there. Got Carl O'Connor lined up on the left of me, and I got, yet again, the world's worst start. This time it was officially the world's worst start. I was pretty sure that the women's class was going to get off the line before I did. I had to put it in neutral and kickstart it like a normal person instead of starting in gear. Not really sure what happened there. The only guess that I've got, if you noticed my bars, I put new bars on the bike last week. And when I did, I had to disconnect the clutch cable, and I'm thinking I may have gotten the clutch a little bit tighter than before, causing just a little bit of drag, not letting the bike start in gear, because I started the bike about 4 times before the race. Every other time that I started it, it was in neutral without having the clutch pulled in, and it started first kick every time. So, of course, as usual, it's becoming my call sign here, last man off the line. Now I've got the entire field to try and pass. You know, Ken Reichenbach and I keep joking around saying that I don't know if it's me or the bike, but between the two of us, one of us really wants me to have to work hard to try and win one of these races someday. But as you can see, once I did get off the line, I'm riding hard. I mean, I got a lot of work to do now. So last year, you know, if you watched my video, that they actually forced us to go around the bypass of this enduro section, and I actually only took this enduro section once last year, and I fell pretty hard. So this was my redemption. I was glad that it was open right away, because I believe that the bypass adds roughly a minute and a half to your lap time. I never took the bypass, so I don't know. I did fall once in this enduro section that cost me a little bit of time, but you know, it is what it is. I had a lot of fun doing this section today. I've spent a lot more time this year playing around out in the trails with deck and you know, just playing around on my own and purposely jumping over logs and hitting tree roots and stuff. So this section with all these trees and roots and basically this whole race, I was feeling a whole lot more confident racing here today. And you can tell, I mean, I was pushing it as hard as I could. I was having a pretty good ride. So what we're doing here, this obviously is the first lap, and once I catch up to the main part of the field, we start getting into more of the follow the leader kind of stuff, and everybody kind of slows down. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just take you through part of this first lap, and I'm going to show you just kind of some of the carnage from the first lap. And then we'll go into the second lap where the field kind of got spread out a little bit, and I was able to ride a little bit faster without being held up too much. And yeah, we'll go from there. So this section right here, you know, just like last year, this is the area that was the fall zone last year. If you remember, it was all clear cut. You could see the tree stumps and the logs and the brush piles and stuff everywhere. Obviously this year it's grown up a little bit, and that made it pretty deadly if you got off the trail. So I was kind of glad to see that the trail was a little bit wider than I was expecting. It made it a little bit more safe to ride. Yeah, it's not my favorite area. It's actually probably my least favorite area. Those clear cut areas are. And to be perfectly honest, this is one of my lesser favorite tracks. I don't really know what else to say about that. This is not the type of riding that I generally enjoy. However, with that said, I did have a ton of fun until the end of the race. You'll see at the end here, I had I don't want to say a race-ending crash, because I did finish my lap after I crashed, but it beat me up pretty bad to the point where there was not going to be another lap ridden. I got the white flag. I did not take the checkered flag. But you know, it's okay. I didn't break any bones. I didn't break any parts on the bike. I walked away with just some pretty significant bruising and some really sore muscles. So what we're coming up to here is the carnage that is the Mega Mud Pit, is what I'm going to call it. I guess I got lucky in the sense that my start was so bad. Right there on the left is Jason Holcomb, and Dave Palmer was down in there with him. Yeah, I don't see him in the picture anymore, but those guys at least, and I believe several other guys from our group, went for it through the sand mud pit thing and got pretty well buried in it. You know, I saw some people made it through there without too much trouble, but most people really struggled. So I got lucky enough to be behind everybody and avoid going in there altogether. And then right here, everybody's waiting to get up on top of these big sand mounds, which yeah, it was a different aspect to the race, but that sand was really soft, so if you didn't get up it, it was very hard to get up it. I don't really know how else to say that, but I tried to climb the side of it a couple times and I just kept sliding back down, so I decided, whatever, I'm just going to ride down here. Now, as you can see, that was also a very sketchy proposition because there was a bunch of trees and stuff down there. Now, this is at the end of the first lap. That was Dougie Z with his bike laying on the ground, and I think at any second here I'm going to rear end him. Yeah, right there. That was not intentional. I just didn't expect him to come to a stop. So, yeah, I've caught up to him, which Todd Britton is also a bike or two ahead of us. So at this point, I know that I am somewhere around mid-pack, I'm sure. Todd is generally a very consistent top 10 rider, and when I say that, I'm not talking about just race finishes. He is generally inside the top 10 throughout the entire race. So he's generally my gauge. If I'm seeing Todd, I know I'm running okay. And he's up there, so I know I'm not too far away from the guy that's running, or at least, you know, from a decent position. That corner there got a little bit wide on. I was actually expecting that to go to the left and not just go over the berm, but yeah, that's judging a track that you kind of remember from last year. That's a different layout than it is now. So what we've got going on here is, obviously I'm going to show you the whole second lap. This was my fastest lap of the day, so I mean I was definitely riding hard. This was a 21-minute lap for me, and most of the rest of my laps for the day were somewhere between 26 and 30 minutes. So this was definitely a flying lap. and I was having a lot of fun. I think through probably the first 3 laps, I was just really loving this track. And unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but, you know, as it is with a very sandy track with a lot of trees, I get past Dougie, and I'm coming up on Todd. I'm going to follow him through the sand pit because he seems to be able to get through it pretty easy. But, you know, with these really sandy tracks with a lot of trees, you know, there's a ton of roots. And with the soft sand, you dig through to the roots really quick, and then the roots don't give way. So it ends up making the whole track just incredibly rough. So like I said, for the first 3 laps or so, I was really having a great time. On the roughly 4th lap, it started really beating me up, and on the 5th lap, it ended up biting me. But, you know, again, it is what it is. It's racing, and I was just happy to be at this track again this year and be feeling more confident about the way that I was riding. You know, if you watched my video from last year, all I talked about was how much I hated it. It was bumpy, it was slippery, there was trees and roots and blah, blah, blah. Well, if you guys were out here riding this track and you were struggling with being thrown around by these roots and stuff, and you're not riding with a steering stabilizer, I'm going to give you a huge insider secret. Get yourself a steering stabilizer, because this track was a completely different race for me compared to last year. And the biggest thing that I changed on this bike since I raced this track last year was putting the Scott steering stabilizer on it. I'm not telling you what brand to get, I'm just telling you, if you want to be able to ride through this garbage and do it with some confidence, get a steering stabilizer. It's the best thing I ever did. I can't say that it's necessarily the best upgrade I've put on my bike, but it's definitely top 3. So, you know, like I said, if you're struggling through this kind of riding, get a steering stabilizer. It'll help. It'll save your life, I swear. So, yeah, Todd was on a 4-stroke. I can't remember. I think Todd had a 350, a KTM 350. And if you notice, there's little poofs of smoke coming out of the back of his bike now. He picked himself up a new KTM, I think it was the 150SX. Not 100% positive. I know it's a 150. Not sure if it's the SX or the XCW. Doesn't really matter. But he put himself on a nice little nimble 2-stroke. The weight savings, I'm sure, was a lifesaver, especially in this track, you know. But yeah, I talked to him a little bit after the race. You know, during the race, I wasn't paying any attention. I generally don't pay a ton of attention to what people are riding. I just try and ride my race. Heck, half the time I don't even pay attention to who's around me. So Todd slips up just enough there for me to slip around him, and look who's in front of me. It's Stanko, Mr. 002, or this year, 021. And I think it was Jeffrey Carroll, Mr. Pony Down, that made a comment that Stanko's bike wasn't smoking anywhere near as much now that he put a new exhaust on there. Well, it is. But that's okay, because that's how we know it's Stanko in front of us. So, I'm going to chase him down here for a minute. And, yeah, he was riding good, and I was feeling like really putting the pressure on him, and he wasn't giving an inch, and that was okay. I was really loving pushing it through these woods and trying to get these guys moving. I don't want anybody to give me a position. I have a lot more fun trying to race for it. You know, there's some talk about, you know, where team classes should start and how the points affect whether or not you've got to move up next year into a B class or whatnot. And you know what? I know that it's not fun to race every week and not be competitive. Okay, I understand that. Basically, my thoughts on the whole A, B, C class rider stuff. You know, a lot of guys that are coming into this series new. You know, not necessarily new riders, but, you know, new to the series, come in and they say, well, I used to race motocross or whatever discipline, doesn't matter. I used to race and I was a B class rider, let's say. And they say, well, I haven't ridden in 10 years. So they sign up for a C class. Well, I mean, okay, we're all rusty if we haven't ridden in a while, but I'm here to tell you, if you're contemplating, you know, what class you should be in, if you were ever a B class rider, sign up for B class, because you don't ever forget how to ride. You just get rusty, and your skills come back. And if you were a B class rider and you're trying to sign up for a C class, you know, I got no problem with you doing that. You know, the issue is the true novice C-class riders are all the way in the back of the pack, have no chance of being competitive. You know, most of them are getting DNFs and, you know, struggling to even complete a race. You know, where you know, if you're an ex-B-class rider, you know, you're going to come into a C-class and you're going to be in probably the top 5 right away. You know, that should be your signal that you're in the wrong class. So I'm not trying to tell anybody that, you know, they're right or wrong or they're indifferent. It doesn't matter. You know, if you are consistently in the top 5, you should definitely be considering moving up to the B class. Even if you don't have to, you know, per the rules, you know, you should be moving up to the B class. You know, let the C class be as competitive as the C class can be. Because if you're a B class rider running in the C class, you're going to dominate the C class. And, you know, the C class guys that belong there will never have a chance. So right there, I snuck past Stanko. I don't know if he got hung up in that little brush pile, or if he was just letting some faster guys go. I'm not sure, but I snuck past him, and now my job is to try and gap him and Todd. So we're gonna push through here, and you know, we get stuck behind a couple guys. You know, not stuck. Get behind a couple guys, because I'm not really riding any faster than these guys. I'm just fast enough to put the pressure on, so that's okay. But yeah, so with the whole ABC class thing, you know, I am not sure that I'm gonna move up next year. I feel like the skill level that I'm riding at now is good enough potentially to not be competitive in the top, you know, 5 or probably even 10 in the B class, but I feel like I am capable of riding at a level that, you know, is at the top of the C class, or, you know, at least, you know, top 5-ish. And I don't really want to switch classes yet, because, I mean, let's be realistic about it. You look at my finishes, I've never come close to a top 5. Well, I guess I did finish 8th the one race. Other than that, my best finish ever was maybe 10th or maybe 9th. So, you know, for me, I'm still a C-class rider to the extent that I am not consistent enough to be considered B-class. But when I'm riding well, I would say that I'm at least semi-competitive, you know, with the B-class times. So it has been a little bit of a struggle for me personally, thinking about what I'm going to do for next year, because I don't want to hold up, you know, the C-class and get in the way of the true C-class riders, or, you know, just dominate the C-class next year, because, you know, if the C-class guys that are in the top 5 or whatever it is that are technically supposed to move up into the B-class next year, you know, if they do, and, you know, no rules are changed there, then what we're looking at is a situation where I will potentially be one of those guys that, you know, basically finishes top 5 every race next year. And, you know, I'm not going to say that wouldn't be awesome, because it would. But I'm just not sure what I want to do yet. I do think it might be kind of nice to get some trophies throughout next season, and then move up to B-class, since I'm not going to be one of the guys that is forced to move up. So that's definitely not a major issue. So, you know, that's my piece on that. I guess it just is what it is. We'll play it by ear and see how it goes. But right here in front of me is Ryan Van Dyke, and Ryan, I'm glad that you stopped. He stopped at my truck as I was getting ready to leave the race on Sunday to just double check on me, make sure I was all right after I crashed in the woods. You know, I've seen Ryan's name on the list, obviously, a lot. He's a regular in the C-class, and you know, there's a lot of guys that race with us that I still don't know. You know, most guys know who I am, you know, because I put these videos out, and there's not a lot of us that actually do publish them. So, you know, it's kind of nice that everybody knows who I am, because, you know, they yell my name out, you know, whatever. But, you know, a lot of times I don't know you guys. So, absolutely, if it's early before the race or whatever, you know, you're wandering around the pits or just hanging out, you know, I drive a red Toyota Tundra, and usually hanging out with Jeff Carroll or Deck Andrzak or Dave Palmer. You know, we generally kind of pit together. Sometimes Stanko pits with us. So we're ever just hanging out before the race, you know, feel free to stop by and say hi. You know, it's always nice to see the guys that we're racing with their helmets off. Because, let's be honest, we all look a little different with the helmet on. So, you know, I don't know who you are usually if I don't know you. But yeah, it was I was glad that he stopped and said hi and made sure I was all right, and we had a nice little talk there for a second. And yeah. Good to finally meet you. And so, yeah, these wood sections, I was having a ton of fun in. You know, they weren't super tight. Most of the wood sections, you were able to get some good flow going. So, you know, it all felt pretty good. The last little section there that opened up on a track like this, there was that double, and if you remember, last year I had an awful lot of trouble with that jump. I smashed into it, you know, repeatedly, crashed crashed a couple times. You know, that was my nemesis. This year, you know, Dave, if you guys know Dave Palmer, he is an ex-motocross guy. He asked me before the race if I was going to hit these jumps, because last year I rolled everything, and I told him absolutely I'm going for it. I've watched my video back a couple times to see what I had to do differently on the jumps, and, you know, kind of get some pointers back on what I needed to do to be successful at this race. You know, that's the other reason why I do these videos, is for myself. But yeah, so I went for it. You know, I had to lay up on this second lap here because, you know, I was following I don't know who it was, but I was following that guy around the fast line, which you kind of have to keep your momentum up around that corner to clear that double, because it is a long double. And he checked up right as he was coming up to face that jump, which kept me from being able to actually hit it. So I'm glad that I didn't run you over. Just word of advice to you guys, if you're coming up to a jump and you're on the fast line and you're gonna check up, get out of the way. Move over, because that, I mean, I had it locked up trying not to hit him. So yeah, please move. But here, I mean, I'm gonna keep hitting these jumps. Never cleared that jump last year. I think I could have hit that jump even harder and even cleared the tabletop, but I was just having fun getting up onto the tabletop and just scooting across it. Yeah, I was having fun on this motocross track. You know, that is one thing about this race. If you hate the woods and you hate the roots and the tree stumps and all that garbage, this track is worth coming to just to race the motocross track. If, you know, you have any confidence with hitting jumps. You know, those of you who know me know I didn't start racing dirt bikes at all. I've never really been on one until last year. So, you know, just a day or two out at the motocross track will give you a world of confidence. You know, maybe enough to hurt yourself. I can't promise you won't, you know, break some bones or something, because it's always possible. I could do it at any second. But boy, is it fun to hit those big jumps and actually clear them. This section here is the typical starting line spot for the motocross track. So this is like really, really soft, deep sand. It's not my favorite thing at all. I struggled. I think my 5th lap was the only lap that I made it through there without struggling tremendously. This section here, it was, I mean, the camera doesn't do it justice. Super, super steep, narrow, right along, not a creek, a river. I mean, I have no idea how deep that water is, but I know I don't want to go in it. And right here, I kind of bumped my bars and started going towards the edge of that, and oh man, I stopped immediately to make sure I got my footing back under me, because there was no way I would let myself fall in that water. So it was kind of cool, you know, that section in particular, that side, because we go back down right here, but the first part down by the river, it started getting very, very off camber. You know, the more we rode it, the more our tires eroded the side of the hill, and it made it more and more steep. That little log there was pointed in just the right direction, that every time I went over it, it pushed my front tire into that large log on the right. So that was a little bit irritating, but it never made me crash. It just had to struggle a second. But yeah, boy, that started getting really off camber, started feeling really uncomfortable, and started making me have to slow down quite a bit more towards the end of the race than I was in this section here. But, you know, it is what it is. Here we're coming out into the flat track area, and this was like ice. I mean, if you got going real good, I mean, you had to basically pitch the bike sideways. There's Kenny right there waving us on, telling us to turn, because it looks like a couple guys have blown through that tape at least once or twice. Kyle, I can't remember if Ken said he did one lap or a couple, but he's not feeling his bike anymore. He wants to get on something smaller, so he didn't really have a ton of motivation to really finish this race, and he quit way early. I went by here at some point, and he was already in his casual clothes, so I wasn't sure what was going on. So, Kyle, you officially get the C-Class first place DNF trophy. I'm not sure if you were the first place DNFer or not, but you won it, buddy. So I'm going to give that to you at Muskegon the next race. So right here, we're going to go through this enduro section. I'll show you the one place that I crashed.
Easy there, big guy.
That was getting a little bit out of control. This is, I want to say, third or fourth lap. Can't remember. Went to the left side of those tires, and as soon as my front tire hit that sand, I went right over the bars. My foot was stuck in between. Yeah. My left foot was stuck in between my tire and the swing arm. And so that guy had to come over there and help pull my foot out from under me. Right there, Todd gets around me after I put a pretty decent gap on Stanko, and he gets by. So now I'm panicking. Not to the sense where I'm going to make any mistakes, but I've got to get back around. Now this is how you hit the double where I had to check up. Behind that guy. Stay on it. Momentum. Clear it. Perfect. Loved it. That jump was awesome. Yeah. So, coming up here, we're going to catch a little peekaboo. Who is this? Oh, look at it. There's Todd. I don't know what he did, but he got himself deep in those trees, and I was able to capitalize on it, and I knew he was almost out of those woods, so right here I started really like trying to pick it up, you know, ride as fast as I could. He's not on the bike yet, so I'm going to try and put as much distance between he and I as I can. You know, I'm just trying to get as much ground as I can, because you guys know me. I'm not a perfect racer. I just like to ride fast when I can, so eventually I'm bound to screw up. Little nose high there, rode the wheelie across the tabletop. Just having fun. Still trying to rip through this sand. You know, these corners right here was probably the best I've ever felt going through the sand corners. You know, I'm not normally a huge fan of sand, but then again, you know, a lot of the tracks that we ride are sand. I thought I was going good, and that guy just came out of nowhere. So, man, those jumps were fun. If I could spend the whole day at Polka Dots just riding the motocross track, I'd be in heaven. Now right here, I hit that little tree, that little root or something. Saw me bash the right bars in, bash the left bars in. I nailed both shoulders on those trees. My mind remembered it as I hit my left side, then my right side, but clearly that was not the case. And that hurt. that right there was the crash that would ultimately make me quit at the end of this lap. I would have shown you that rest of the footage. I did keep riding fairly competitively, but boy, my back really tightened up after that. It knocked the wind out of me pretty hard. Todd's gonna be coming past me here, telling me how good I was doing. Yeah, my race is done. But yeah, I hope that you guys liked the video, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get back in some physical shape to race at Muskegon, and we'll see you at that race. Like and subscribe if you want. Thanks for watching.